Welcome back, Creator. Corey here. Today is Tuesday the 13th. Right now it is 8:46 in the morning. And we're trying to get a nap right now. But this guy has not been able to sleep. It's like, I know I'm not the only one whose mind is just like I don't know, I just can't sleep lately. I mean, even yesterday we got up at 3:20 because we had to go to work. We ran the classes in the morning. We were back home by 7. Yeah, I went throughout my entire day. We read a little bit. We ate. We did some asana. We did our flow. Came back home, read a little bit more. Tried to take a nap. Couldn't do it. It was like 2 hours until I had to go back into work because I work split shifts every 12 hours. The morning classes and also the evening classes, Monday through Friday. So my sleep schedule is just like way out of whack, and I just can't sleep. Like, even if I work out and do all my training, and I'm exhausted throughout the entire day, I still can't sleep, and it's frustrating. It makes me it's irksome because you're just like, dude, you gotta go to bed, like you gotta be good, And I'm just like right now, I didn't even get much sleep yesterday. We tried going to bed by 9:20, and we didn't go to bed till like 10:30. We were laying there the entire time, just like oh my gosh. And same thing this morning. I got about 5 hours of sleep, and which is all right, I guess. It's better than 3 hours or 2. But anyways, let's go ahead and continue where we were. We're on our Wheels of Life book. We're coming up to the end of the first part, which is exploring the system. Next, in part 2, we're going to be going over the journey through our system. So we're going to go ahead and start right here. So I believe we did read this in the last video, but if not, we're just going to go ahead and read this again. So the raising of energy to higher chakras occurs naturally and spontaneously when we relax deeply and pay attention to all of our chakras, all of our energy centers. Attempts to force the energy to rise often results in strain, tension, and a feeling of being spaced out or irritable to those around us who are not doing the same thing. The latter produces an alienation that I have found to be symptomatic to a lack of enlightenment. Many people have come up to me at conferences to excitedly tell me of their enlightened 7th chakra experience, while not having the slightest sensitivity to the fact that they were rudely interrupting a conversation or were living in bodies that seemed horribly neglected. And one thing I really want to talk about when she talks about that, while not having the slightest sensitivity to the fact that they were rudely interrupting a conversation. Remember how we were talking about, if these energy centers are closed, they're receiving and giving off energy, and if it's not open to receiving certain things, we're going to be ignorant to that type of thing in that specific field, like rudely interrupting a conversation. Like, everybody knows that you need to wait for the other person to finish talking before you start talking yourself, and if that person is talking way too much without listening, then they're the ones in the wrong, not you. It's very interesting. It's always a balance between the two. And then she says, or we're living in bodies that seemed horribly neglected. It is impossible to talk about chakras without mentioning Kundalini. However, the raising of Kundalini, which we learned is energy, is not the focus of this book. Kundalini is not necessarily the best or easiest way to achieve realization, any more than driving through a stone wall is the easiest way to get to the house in the next street. There are times when a strong force is needed to get through a particular stubborn block, but I prefer methods that are natural, safe, and pleasant. When we take the scenic route, we can enjoy the journey as much as the destination. Before we move on, I want to show you guys this figure 1.11, and this is the caduceus, or caduceus, okay, the C-A-D-U-C-E-U-S. I don't know if you could really see it from there, but it's that design with the rod. It has two wings and it has two serpents wrapping around and meeting with each other on each side. And this says, this modern symbol is for healing, tracing the path of the chakras and nadis, emanating from the base of the two-winged petals at the top. So this book neither supports nor condemns disciplines designed to arouse Kundalini. The drug LSD is a quick way to catch glimpses of the higher worlds of superconsciousness, and it doesn't necessarily leave you there, but may still affect some permanent change in a positive direction. Kundalini is less predictable, generally more profound, and much more difficult to obtain. Now I want to talk a little bit about LSD before we move on and exactly what it is. LSD is known to release a higher state of consciousness substance within the body. Okay, it raises the vibrations of your entire system. You know, I personally have done it before myself. I've tried it when I was younger, and it was a pretty gnarly experience. And it's been a while since I've last had that experience. Last time I did, I was up in the mountains, and the sun. It was in the morning, and the sun was just like so majestic. You know, it's like it literally takes you into a state where everything in society or everything we've learned on this planet simply disappears. You know, it's like you don't forget about it, but you move above it. You know, you think higher than it. You know, and the sunlight with the hills that were green and the mountains, and it was just an absolutely amazing experience. And she says it gives you a point of seeing the worlds of super consciousness, and you really do. You see the energy. You know, when a bird flies by, you can see the airwaves that are pushing behind it. You can see all of this happening. And I've done my research on LSD, what it's come from. It's supposed to come from a grain, and the potency of what it is, it's very, very, very powerful. And it's not something you want to do on the regular. You know, it's known as a psychedelic, you know, and we all know what the psyche is, you know, our mind, you know, and psychedelics are supposed to raise the vibrations of your mind for the time being, you know, or when you take shrooms, for example, this plant, this poisonous mushroom, you know, and your body, it eats up and digests this fungi, this thing that you eat, and you go on this journey for the time being, and it's amazing. Because I've done shrooms too. Okay, me personally, I've tried LSD, I've tried shrooms, and I smoked weed, you know, and drank for the time being. I've done Norcos a few times, but that's it. Last time I did it, it was a little bit after high school. It's already been several years. And it's just a terrible, terrible thing to take. It leaves you feeling like crap. But plus it's something that was created in the laboratory. You know, psychedelics weren't created in some laboratory. It was extracted from a plant, you know, kind of like marijuana. Moving on. However, Kundalini is not the result of a drug, but a reorganization of our own life energy. It is a unique and valuable experience available to any sincere seeker of higher awareness. And the reason I tell you guys that, because it's something that I've tried. You know, I've personally tried it myself, and I've had the experience of what it does. You know, I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've never done it if I've done it before. You know, then that would just be me lying and not being 100% myself when it comes to meeting with you guys. These are things that I have tried, and I personally, I tell people it is an experience worth trying. Okay, I'm not saying go out and do heroin or meth or anything like that. Those are the things you want to stay away from, you know. But LSD and shrooms, a lot of people that have done these, they're great great people, at least for the most part anyway. You know, there are still those people that live for that stuff, and that's not good. There is a great deal of research that is presently being done on Kundalini, and many theories have been formed about what it really is and how it is triggered. The theories listed below are the ones most pertinent to this book. Kundalini is triggered by a guru. Any interaction we have with other people takes place on a chakra level as well. Because remember, we're also vibing on a spiritual level. You know, our vibrations, our energy. If we interact with people who are predominantly lower chakra, our own centers respond accordingly. We may be pulled down by such an interaction. Likewise, if an interaction occurs that stimulates the upper chakras, such a contact with a guru who has awakened his or her own Kundalini, this new influx of energy may awaken the disciple. Remember that induction that we've been talking about, when something is magnetically induced, okay? That magnetic, like the chapter we were going over with you know, that magnet induces that bar of steel, and that bar of steel, in turn, the atoms of which it is made will align itself to all the north ends are pointing upward and all the south ends are pointing down. That magnetic field will then become an open channel for receiving magnetism, and that magnet is what magnetizes that piece of iron, and that iron becomes magnetized for the time being. Okay, likewise what he's saying here, you know, that induction that we had, that energy that we all share off of. Because I know for a fact you've been with somebody that was just like complaining about their entire day, and you're just, I gotta get away from this person. Like, this is all they're talking about. This is negative energy I do not need to be around. You know, things like that. Or when somebody's just like, I'm having the greatest day of my life, you know, all this happened, that happened, then you feel that buoyancy, you feel the joy coming from that specific individual. You know, and you want to be around that person because it's a positive force. In this thing, he's saying, when people are predominantly working within the lower chakras, okay, they as they work, for example, then you're able to work with this person, as to where somebody who's predominantly, you know, in the upper chakras, that deals with more thinking and intellectual type stuff, okay, then you have that you feel that, and you start having these conversations that are just like, oh wow, like, you know, this is a really cool mental stimulation that we are having. You know, that's what she's talking about right here in this. With the guru, for example, this new influx of energy may awaken the disciple, because of the energy of the higher energy of this guru is inducing on the disciple, and the disciple is feeling that energy, and they're becoming more and more awake to this new way of being. When Kundalini is triggered by a guru, the experience is called Shaktipat. It awakens the centers and gets the Kundalini energy flowing, leaving its recipient free to experience both the wonderful effects as well as deal with the consequences it may affect in their lives and body. 2. Kundalini is sexual. The practice of Tantra sometimes includes elaborate yogic sexual practices designed to arouse Kundalini and achieve transcendence. Such techniques may vary from prolonged orgasm to total abstinence. Some say Kundalini and sexuality are mutually exclusive, while others believe that they are inextricably linked. This will be discussed more fully in the chapter on Chakra 2. And I'm a firm believer that they are both connected, because sometimes, I mean, it's been so long myself since I've had that experience with another individual in my life, let alone holding a girl's hand or even kissing a girl. You know, it's been just about 2 years for me since my last girlfriend, because, you know, it's anyway, all of this some say Kundalini mutually, what were we talking about? Yes, because they're connected together. They have a strong connection together. You know, sometimes I even, as much as I love doing everything that I'm doing. I make these videos, you know, I go to work, I help people out, people look up to me, people ask me questions, you know, how does this work, how can I do this, you know, what would be the best foods that go with this, or, you know, like things like that, and you know, all that is personally fulfilling to me, but at the same time, I still feel like I'm only really half alive, because I don't have that in my life at this current moment of time. You know, this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, this abstinence thing. You know, it's like you close that part of yourself out because of just the I don't know, resentment, I guess you can say, that was built during the process of going through your last breakup. And I know we were talking about this when we were going over the emotions with you. You know, if you don't handle those emotions at that current moment in time and you just lock them away within you, okay, it doesn't go away. It's locked within you. It becomes a lodged energy. It's stuck within your own chakras. And I've learned that myself just a few months ago. I've learned that's true, you know, and it wasn't until recently where I actually was able to you know, let go of that situation. She had messaged me close to 8 months ago now. Like she let me know, she was telling me she was sorry about everything that had happened. And at that time, I didn't really accept her apology. I was still kind of mad over that situation. Like, can you believe that? Like a year and 3 months later, you're still a little bit resentful towards what happens, or towards what had happened in your own experience. And it wasn't until recently where I found out me holding on to it was just it wasn't good for me. You know, it wasn't good for me. It was keeping me from being all that I could be. And I was even talking with Danny. He's one of the owners of the Fit Body Boot Camp that I'm currently working at. And he was even telling me about that. He's like, you're blocking that light that you have within you, and that person that is waiting for you, they're not seeing that light coming from Corey that they need. And because you're blocking yourself out from that, not only are you keeping that experience from happening in your life, but you're also keeping away from the people or that person that you're really meant to be with. It's very interesting. It's very, very, very interesting. So, moving on. Kundalini is chemical. The sixth chakra, which we learned is our third eye, is generally associated with the pineal gland. Now, remember how we were talking about the pineal gland and how it's the only other organ in the body that has rods and cones. Okay, the only other ones that have rods and cones are your eyes. Okay, these rods and cones pick up on light, allowing you to see images as they are. You know, same thing with your pineal gland. It has rods and cones, just as your eyeballs. The thing with the pineal gland is that these rods and cones are located inside of the gland instead of outside, allowing you to mentally picture things as they could be without that thing actually being there. Remember, the imagination, this form of imaging. Okay, we're able to image something not tangible in existence before it's actually tangibly there. That is how we create. That is how we create things. Remember, imagination creates things, that faculty of our mind. Melatonin, a chemical produced by this gland, is known to produce increased psychic ability, dream recall, visions, and hallucinogenic effects. Some believe that the visions induced by Kundalini are a cycling of neurotransmitters. In some cases, Kundalini may be triggered by drugs such as coffee, marijuana, and hallucinogenic drugs. Wow. Yeah, because marijuana, it may set your imagination on fire, yeah, for the time being, but the after effects of what it is, you know, it leaves you scattered, you know. And then the hallucinogenic drugs, like the LSD we were talking about, it raises the Kundalini for the time being, giving us an increased psychic ability. Kundalini is the result of vibrational rhythm entertainment in the body. Undulations of the spine set off rhythms which entrain with the heartbeat, brainwaves, and beating patterns, stimulating various centers in the brain. These may be triggered by meditation, breathing rates, or pure chant, as in the cases of spontaneous awakening. This will be discussed further when we explore vibrations in the realm of the 5th chakra. Meditation, the Biha mantras, as we were saying, and with the vibrations in the realm of the 5th chakra, our throat chakra, which we create these vibrations as we speak. Kundalini is naturally produced when there is a clear, unblocked channel connecting all of the chakras. This last is my own theory, which I see as an addition, rather than a contradiction to those above. If the chakras are seen as gears, then Kundalini is the serpentine motion that energy takes as it moves along those gears. In fact, the chakras may serve as inhibitors of Kundalini, slowing it down so that it can be reasonably channeled and kept from burning up the mortal organism in which it occurs. So this Kundalini, which she's saying, this energy is flowing through us at immense speeds, but they're controlled in their how you can say they're controlled in their distribution throughout the body through your chakra systems, these main centers of energy. In fact, the chakras may serve as inhibitors of Kundalini, slowing it down so that it can be reasonably channeled and kept from burning up the mortal organism in which it occurs. At our present state of existence, the chakras themselves are not blocks, but stepping stones. At times, however, the unresolved patterns within the chakras may unnecessarily block this life force. We may be able to use Kundalini energy in a safe and predictable manner. And now we have our table of correspondences. And this is very, very cool because it's going to give us a quick summary on each one of these chakras, the Sanskrit name, its meaning, its location in the body, like a quick table before we actually delve too deeply into what these are. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video right here. In our next video, we're going to go ahead and go over all these table of correspondences. So I'll see you in one minute.